Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remembered so you don't have to. Knock knock, who's there? Lord of the Rings is awesome! After winning critical praise, box office praise, tons of awards, changing the way many blockbusters are made, and being one of the best known film trilogies of all time, who the hell is gonna argue with that? Lord of the Rings went from being the story that could never be filmed to the best known film fantasy of all time. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have some dumbass moments. I mean, with 558 minutes of film, of course there's gonna be problems here and there. And when you have a film series that needs to bring in a big crowd, you need to take big risks. Some of them pay off, some not so much. And hey, it's still good to look over the weaker aspects of a film because truly, no film is without flaws. And it's fun to review the mistakes and creative choices that maybe in the future could be tinkered with more. Especially seeing how technically these films are still being made. And while on the subject, I'm not going to put the Hobbit films in there, seeing how they're still in the process of being put out. And I'm also not going to draw too many differences from the books. It's an adaptation, things have to be changed, I get that. I'm only judging these goofy choices in the realm of the films themselves. So, let's look over one of cinema's greatest accomplishments by acknowledging its top 11 greatest downfalls. Why top 11?
Stupid fact, Hobbit.
This is the top 11 dumbest Lord of the Rings moments. Number 11. Just letting Gandalf die. Yeah, kinda shocked nobody ever talks about this one. In the book, as well as in the animated movie, when Gandalf is facing the Balrog uses the whip to drag him down with him, causing Gandalf to shout, "Fly, you fools!" as he plunges to his death. Fly, fools! But in Fellowship, he hangs onto the cliff, most likely trying to make the line more dramatic.
Fly, you fools!
But the question is, if he's hanging onto the cliff, why is everyone just looking at him? Nobody thinks to run over and actually pull him up. Go! Save him! He's right there! You still got time, you little idiots! No, I take it back. Frodo does. It's one of the few times he actually tries to take action. But what do? They hold him back. Why? There's no reason to. I suppose if you wanted to go out on a stretch, you could make the assumption that maybe the orcs are firing at them. But hell, if you're just going to stand there and look at him anyway, the very least you could do is be a moving target by walking forward and picking him up. But, Boromir is like, no, he's gone.
Bullshit I am, I'm right here!
He's never coming back.
I haven't even left yet.
We must move on without him.
I can hear every word you're saying.
Remember, he told us to fly.
Yes, fly forward and grab me, please.
He will live forever in our hearts.
I'd much rather live the real way.
Our friend is gone.
Oh, fuck this noise. Tell Bilbo I never liked him!
No! It still makes no sense whatsoever. The only justification I can have for this is that, well, it did give us a cool intro to Two Towers. I mean, come on, that opening was awesome. Even if they did land in a giant lake and somehow ended up on top of a mountain. In fact, why were they concerned for him if he could survive a fall into a lake and yet still have the strength to walk up to the top of a mountain? Ah, I've nitpicked this enough.
Fly, you fools!
Number 10. Those bajillion endings. Yeah, y'all knew this was coming. On the one hand, you can't blame these people for having an ending that goes on forever. I mean, it's wrapping up 3 very big, very long movies. Lots of characters and stories need closure. But that's not what I necessarily take issue with. What I take issue with is the fake-outs. Every other second, it looks like the credits are about to roll. Instead, they keep the plots coming. At first, it looks like it's going to end with Sam and Frodo together on the volcano, but then it keeps going. Then it looks like it's going to end with them reuniting, but then it keeps going. Then it looks like it's going to end with them in Minas Tirith, but then it keeps going! And there's still 5 more endings on top of it! There's so many goddamn fade-outs in this film, you could confuse it for the ending of Clue.
Here at the end of all things. do you pick up the threads of an old life?
It doesn't help either that ending 1.2 looks a whole lot like a curtain call. Ladies and gentlemen, your Lord of the Rings players! Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan as Merry and Pippin. John Rhys-Davies as Gimli. Orlando Bloom as Legolas. Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. Rudy as Sam. Big Scary Eyes as Frodo. And Sir Ian McKellen as the always enduring, always heartwarming Gandalf. Ah! That is fucking terrifying. Please don't show that again. Ah! By Jesus, that's gonna haunt my nightmares. Stop that. Now, for a lot of people, these several endings are a big complaint, but I put it pretty low on the list because, honestly, I actually do like the endings. I mean, yeah, there's too many and they fake you out too many times, but the actual endings themselves are very poignant and kind of touching. So on the whole, I can't be that angry at them. Maybe just a little angry. And a little terrified. Number 9. Gimli's idiot moments. So again, when making an adaptation as big as Lord of the Rings, you can't go into quite as much detail as the books can. So a good chunk of the time, characters have to be simplified. Understandable enough. But good God, what did you do to Gimli?
Ah, yes, the dwarves that go swimming with little hairy women.
At first, he started off okay. He was simple and emotional, but still had a sense of honor and dignity.
Let them come. There is one dwarf yet in Moria who still draws breath.
But as the movies went on, he just got goofier. And goofier.
What do trees have to talk about except the consistency of squirrel droppings?
And goofier. He went from being his own unique flavor of badass to just silly comic relief.
You could have picked a better spot. I cannot jump the distance, you'll have to trust me. Knock them in!
Even he seemed to realize that his whole race merely existed to get a chuckle out of the real heroes.
It's true you don't see many dwarf women. And in fact, they're often mistaken for dwarf men. And this in turn has given rise to the belief that there are no dwarf women. And that dwarfs just bring out of holes in the ground.
Don't believe me? Just watch this scene and tell me if the punchline music doesn't write itself. It's ironic that we would have to wait for a prequel to actually get a dignified dwarf character. But until that time, we only had Gimli as the dignified representation of the dwarf.
Salted pork.
Thank God he had his badass moments in there too, because if not, I think this would be Middle-earth's interpretation of dwarf blackface.
It's a little tight across the chest. Salted pork.
Number 8. Legolas's perfect moments. If one character can be too flawed, then another can be too perfect. Again, Legolas started out as a very precise, somewhat advanced hero in the first movie. But as the films went on, you started to wonder why he couldn't just fight this war himself. Look at this son of a bitch! While everyone's doing their best to fight off soldiers on ground, yeah, Aragorn's like, hey Legolas, would you mind bringing down a 5-story elephant? Come on, you can do that in your pointy-eared sleep. But the bizarre thing is, he can! Without even batting an eye! Is there even a bead of sweat on his forehead? I'm a motherfucking T-Rex! Why is it there was even still a struggle at Helm's Deep? At first it looks like all the humans are gonna have to fight, but then, look, they suddenly get an army of giant dinosaur elephant killers. This battle should be over in 10 minutes. Look at the scene from earlier. Their fighting skills seem too good to be true.
Aha! We knew they would come at us in descending order from left to right, resulting in this cool-ass shot. Everything is coming up hell.
But even with all these badasses on their side at Helm's Deep, even then Legolas has to show off. By going shield surfing! I'm sure that was essential to taking out those 5 guys you could have just as easily killed walking down the stairs.
Wow! Oh my god, that was awesome!
In fact, I'm surprised Legolas didn't just end this whole war in one foul swoop. He's so freaking perfect, I'm sure he could do it!
Legolas, a great evil is spawning in Mordor.
Fear not, my flawed mortal friend. I shall handle this. Like a motherfucking boss.
Legolas, you're too good to be true. And that is precisely the problem.
I'm the motherfucking T-Rex! I'm the motherfucking
That still only counts as one.